Yo, yo, my sovereigns, what up? This is Boba Fett, uncensored on the internet, with episode 136 of Splinterlands 101. Joining us tonight, one of our co-hosts, Matt Clark, finest gentleman who ever lived.
Howdy, howdy.
Unfortunately, no Geo tonight. Geo had a family commitment of a personal nature, so he's had to attend to that. But we'll have Geo back on next week. But we do have a guest tonight, and we've been talking about this person for a while. So if you've seen the last couple of episodes, you've seen the post of his that he put together. We shared with the reward cards for the last episode. And Matt dropped a little bit of classic Aussie banter there with the blue ass fly. I guess that was new for you, blue ass fly.
I never heard that before.
Yeah. So welcome to the show, Hota.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Blue ass fly. We have a lot of flies in Australia, various types, and there's one that's got like a blue ass. The abdomen's blue, and it's just zzz, 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 zzz. So if someone's rushing around or doing something quickly, we say, "I've been running around like a blue ass fly."
Got it.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty accurate. I was trying to get that post together.
Or as busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest is the other.
Not as common though.
No,
not as common.
So we usually start off when we have a guest, a little bit of background. People are always curious to know, where did you come from? Did you come into the game from crypto, or did you get into crypto from the game? How did you find your way here? TCGs, a lot of people in role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons sort of angle, or the other one is purely from crypto. Where did you come? I'm looking at the hat. I'm getting an idea of what your answer might be, but yeah, tell us your story.
Well, back in I'd say towards the end of 2017, right as that bull run was kind of kicking in, I had a specific colleague who was trying to get me into Bitcoin since 2014, and I was always like, "You're crazy." And I know. And then in 2017, I actually put some time into learning about what Bitcoin was, and got really, really interested in it. And then I started making my way into some altcoins. And at that time, I had found Tron, TRX, with the infamous Justin Sun, that shall not be named, even though I just did. And I was in that community for a couple years. More specifically, I was in the Sesame Seed community, which is kind of like was a project on Tron. And Sesame Seed started a side project called Seed Germinator, and I became one of the community moderators for Sesame Seed and Seed Germinator, and I was helping out with the team and stuff like that, and just doing things. And then Seed Germinator partnered with Splinterlands to do the Untamed funding, one of their funding campaigns. They did a Kickstarter funding campaign, and they did the Seed Germinator one as well. So Splinterlands showed up on my radar under that, and I had a bunch of seed, which was the token for Seed Germinator at the time. And you got special bonuses in Untamed packs, and what else? You got the Chaos Golem, I think, was part of that, and so was the dragon, the dragon summoner that has extra magic, Delwyn. I think those were them, and the red dragon or something like that. There was a bunch of them. I'm not sure. I might be getting that confused with the Kickstarter campaign, because I did both of them. But anyway, I found it through the Seed Germinator Kickstarter, and started kind of just playing the game then. Once I got those Untamed packs, jumped into a guild and just played casually, honestly, for a while. And that was I started in 2019 there. So I just played casually there for a long time. And then I think it was when SPS hit when SPS came out, which was what, 2021 or something like that. You guys, I can't remember, but whenever SPS came out is when I started getting like significantly more involved, because all of a sudden I like got dropped like a bunch of assets, and like I was like, oh wow, look at this Splinterlands, yeah, like I love this game. And then I started getting a lot more involved in the community, and like actually got on the Discord at that time, and jumped on Twitter at the time, and was tweeting about it as much as I could, and grabbed some land, and did all the things. I like to get my hand into everything that Splinterlands has to offer, and I've been pretty transparent about this. I went pretty big for me into Chaos packs, which I mean obviously didn't turn out great, but I'm still here and I'm still grinding. Still believe in the project. I still believe in Matt and the team, and I think that the changes that they're making are really great, and I think we just all need to be a little patient. But that's kind of like my story. That's how I got over here, and I've been kind of pushing ever since. And I honestly haven't like logged into like my Tron account in like 4 years or something like that. So once I found Splinterlands and Hive, I never really looked back.
So the sesame seed generator, I mean, where did the name come from?
I think well, Sesame Seed, from what I can remember, it was like supposed to be like, the idea was that like you would get seed tokens, and the more seed tokens you would have, the more like seed reward you would get. Like when you would like have it staked, right? And then you'd get more seed, it would like grow like a seed, like a plant would grow. And then Seed Germinator was like that, their like little side project to like fund other projects to that were using blockchain. And in that sense, you would give your seed to them, and they would give you part of their whatever their part of their like ownership of the game, or they'd give you assets, or whatever the case was. Each project was different, and then so that it was like giving them your seed so they could grow their project, basically.
So it was part of the Tron blockchain?
Yeah, they were actually like the number one validator on Tron for a long time, as well, during the time I was with them. So they were it's like it was a pretty fun community, and I met a lot of great people through it too. And I actually went to a Tron meetup. I actually can't remember what year that was. That was probably actually back in like 2019. So I met a lot of people then, that I'm still friends with a few of them now, and I also went to this. I also went to Splinterfest, where I met a bunch of people in this community as well.
Right. Yeah, I'd never actually heard of Tron until the whole hard fork situation sort of came up. And I remember like checking my Steam account, and there was like a rewards part in Tron, but you needed to actually create an account in Tron. And there was a very polarized division, obviously, at the time, the blockchain, and people were saying, well, if you're going to be part of Hive, we don't want you to see you posting on Steam. And so I just left the whole Steam thing, I just left behind, and I've just been like on Hive ever since. So I'm very ignorant of other aspects of what was tied in together with that.
Yeah. I know that the side of the story was a little different in my Tron communities, but I have since like seen multiple sides, and I have formed my opinion to be very pro Hive.
Yeah.
It's funny with the after that fork, that's what I used to buy all my flesh golems to get that army started, was Steam, right? So after the fork, I got my Hive and my Steam. Yeah. So I was just dumping while Splinterlands or Steam Monsters at the time. No, hang on, it was still Splinterlands then. While that was still on Steam, I was just dropping every Steam I had, just powering down, dropping it all in, and just buying flesh columns off the market with it. So that was the start of that. It was such an incredible time. Lord Butterfly has been in our Discord a bit recently, talking about the proposal that we've got on at the moment, and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts on that. But it's funny, we've got to talk about, do we mean the DHF proposal or do we mean the SPS proposal, for the local internal one? But yeah, that whole time, and he actually made a documentary called Free Chain, which I haven't been able to track it down yet, but I'm really looking forward to watching that at some point, about that whole period, because it was just riveting to live through. So well, I'm glad you landed with the good guys and the right side of history, according to the good guys, of course.
Yeah, according to the good
guys. So how do you feel about what's going on with directions and proposals, and where are you at with the tokenomics? What do you think we're doing right, poorly? Where would you like to see us go and focus on in future?
Yeah, sure. I think in terms of, the proposals, just start with the DHF. I'm disappointed that it's not currently funded, but I also understand why. And I will say that since the DHF proposal came out, I've done a lot of work in terms of trying to learn the Hive ecosystem a lot more. And I know that hasn't been a lot of time, but prior to that, I have, obviously been on Hive Engine, Tribal Decks, and I've, in a few other game projects, I was checking out Woo and a couple of other ones. But in terms of the DHF, I get it. I get why it's not funded yet. I will say I understand that I have a Splinterlands bias, and that it does feel frustrating that we haven't gotten there yet. However, I feel very optimistic with Claiborne's permanent proposal to make some agreements, I think, to support Hive from Splinterlands and Splinterlands and vice versa. So I think we're definitely moving in the right direction, and I think it needed to be done. Having heard the side of people on Hive, I do kind of get it, because honestly, I never needed to use Hive. It works so well that I never had to get off Splinterlands. So I just didn't know what I didn't know at the time, So now I'm starting to use posting more on in Leo or Peak D, and I'm already seeing Hive tokens come in Leo, Peak D tokens come in, and I'm just wow, just for doing what I was doing on X, this is awesome. So I've been pleased about that. In terms of our tokenomics, obviously you can't sugarcoat it. Our SPS is down significantly in the last couple of years, and I wasn't expecting this big of a downturn. With that said, I am still buying. And the reason why is because in the last 10 months, I've seen Matt walk the talk. He has moved this company into a position for me where he is delivering on promises, and he is he's basically over delivering and under promising. That's the way I feel. Every time that they have a town hall or an update, I feel like there's something in those updates that I wasn't expecting. And granted, I also understand that some people are not psyched about the direction that the game's going. But I think it's what needed to be done to get us in a place where we can have a sustainable economy, and we can bring in new people. So I'm very excited about all of that, and I think, and I've been saying this for a little bit, but I truly believe that we're right around the corner now. I think we're within 6 months of really kind of starting to get people into this game.
Where do you feel that the larger demographic is within the game at the moment? We always used to talk about investors or gamers, and some people are a bit of a bit. And Matt, what's the catchphrase of your guild?
Casual gamers, serious investors. That's the Roaring 20s. So we designed that to be, look, it's a low pressure guild, right? You just come, you play. We're not going to be, look, what was your win loss? What was your, how did you go? We're going to review all of your matches and see whether there's, we've never been cutthroat competitive, but we knew that there were going to be advantages for investors in being part of a guild. So we just said, casual players, but serious investors. So, and we in the Roaring 20s, we have, I think, 7% of Praetoria is held by members, which has been interesting from a perspective of everybody's put their gold and their alpha cards on land. And so now those frays are going unfilled because the opportunity cost is huge. To a guy who's got legendary occupied plots, to not put his alpha gold foil cards on there would just be ridiculous. Just to win 4,000 merits or 5,000 merits in a brawl every week or so. So yeah, that's been interesting. But sorry, here I am running away with it.
Right.
Yeah, so that it is like you say, investors and gamers. What I think is funny, zooming out a little bit, was with Aggie. I kind of feel like he got stuck with, when you're talking about Yabba turning it around. I think Aggie kind of got stuck because the shareholders were the customers, and so I think in a normal business setting you could kind of talk to the shareholders and convince them that the customers are coming, and customers aren't so much worried about the longevity of the business or the viability of the business. They're just, well, I'm just going to buy this product. But when the shareholders are the customers, you almost can't play them off against each other. And I think maybe that's where we kind of went wrong, where the showmanship and the salesmanship that would have worked in the boardroom doesn't necessarily work on the sales floor when it's the same group of people that you're selling to. So I'm just sort of pulling at a thread there, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, it worked in a bull run. Everyone loved Aggie in the bull run, right? So like sometimes it's not fair to, things were falling fast, and I can't imagine scaling a company to that size in a crypto business, because it's got to be really difficult because everybody's telling you to put your foot on the gas, right? And and then all of a sudden, what other industry that like goes up and then down that much, right? Like that quickly. So that's got to be tricky. It's also new. So yeah, when I was speaking about Matt, I was specifically speaking about Matt. That was no reference to Aggie and his tenure at all.
Are we getting close to the board? I mean, we've called it a couple of times and we've been wrong, and we've proven wrong quite quickly. Is it coming? And when is it coming?
Is that a question for me?
Open for. Yeah, if you got an opinion on it, throw down. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, we're all so hopeful that it's right around the corner, right? I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we're still 4 to 8 months away. You know what I mean? Like that we start moving, and then that could even be just Bitcoin, and then alts maybe a little bit after that. Like who knows? But it also could be tomorrow. You just like never know, right? Like I think trying to predict that is kind of crazy. I do think it's imminent though. I think that's like 100%. Not financial advice, but
yeah, there's some poor schmuck out there. Anytime he sells a token, it goes up. And we're just waiting for him.
We're just waiting for him. Yeah.
But like you said, everybody loved Aggie in a bull run, and that is so true. And I'm on a few coin fashions pages on Twitter, and so many people go, "Oh, look, I used to, when in the bull run, I was great at investing, and then suddenly I just stopped being great at investing." It's like you weren't great; you were just here, right? You were anywhere was winning. And I
just
feel
like turn up for the bull run. You just got to turn up.
Exactly. It's got to be there and buy anything. You can buy Crazy Cats or Bored Apes and so I kind of feel like the bull run, it's all it's there on your hat, right? Bitcoin goes up, everything else gets dragged up. We're the ants under the table waiting for a crumb to fall, and the crumb's nothing to the that, but to the ant colony, it's like, yes, this is revival. And so in many ways, we're tinkering around the edges, and I would hate to think that with all of the different tokenomics arguments that we have, and the proposals, and the argy-bargy, that we're losing good people from the ecosystem for interpersonal reasons and disagreements, when realistically none of it's up to us. We're like the guys doing the rain dance, and then it just rain. You just dance until it rains, right?
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, I danced until it rained." I don't think it's up to us. I think Bitcoin is just so. It could be U.S. politics. I think maybe the election around that. If Trump was to get in, and then sack Gensler and do some of the pro-crypto stuff that he's been talking about, releasing Ross Ulbricht, commuting his sentence, I could see that being some real momentum. And I don't know what people's number is, but Bitcoin holders have a number. Every one of them has a number at which they start taking wins. And a lot of them are going to want to take wins in alts and speculative projects like this. And I think that's when we win.
I agree.
Yeah. What is that magic number? Yeah. Before we started recording, we touched slightly on the soulbound, and I commented like I was quite shocked at the cost of it. Just the same as like with the SPS staking. We all knew it was coming, but then when it actually happened, we go, "Oh wow, that like the amount really like rocked a lot of people's boats." And now with the soulbound. And the example it gives in the article, like with the dry bone raider, regular foil fully maxed, $55 to unbind one card. And then what's the value of that card on the market if you want to sell it after you've unbound it? Were you guys shocked by the 10x? And especially it's going up as well, it's going up 11 and 12x. Were you guys shocked by that, or was this ballpark figure that you were thinking?
You said $55 for max, right? Max.
Yeah, legendary. Yeah.
That means, to be honestly, that's not shocking for a price for the card. To unbound it, I think a lot of people were surprised and that's why there's some pushback. But I think at the same time, you can see that there's definitely some scarcity on the market for these cards right now. But I'm not sure there's a ton of demand because we all have the cards, until we get the new players that come in. I'm not sure there's a ton of demand. I know there's people who are like trying to like just kind of maybe finish up what they have. Like, oh, I need 2 more BCX to like max this card out. So I'm going to go and grab this off the market. But $5 per BCX roughly. I mean, I know DEC is not a peg, but it doesn't seem outrageous to me. But I mean, to me, I found it more outrageous when we were looking at the gold foil stuff. That to me seemed like really crazy. And I know that those are obviously supposed to be super rare, but like I was looking at some of my my legendary ones that like I have like I need 1 more BCX of, and to unbound it was going to cost me like hundreds of dollars just to get that one, right? It's like, oh man, do I do it? It's like that seems kind of crazy. But I saw people like unbounding these legendaries and then like selling them for like 50 cents to $1 profit. And I'm like, why are you even doing it? And I'm trying to figure out that game mentality. I don't understand it. Why don't you just leave it on your account and play with it?
Is there exit mentality? Like they're just trying to liquidate?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but are you gonna like these cards are costing 25? I mean, whatever it was, like I can't remember the example that I was looking at. But let's say it was like cost you like $30, right, to unbound it. Why are you taking the risk of $30 to sell for 31? Like maybe it doesn't sell. Maybe it sells for under 30, right? Like I just don't understand that exit mentality risk.
Yeah. I know when I looked at the market, as soon as the unbinding came out and went on, first thing I looked at was I need 1 BCX of a gold foil IZIA. So that was the first thing I looked at. So I got to look at the cost of unbinding what I've got, plus the cost of buying that 1 BCX to put it together. And there's just so many other things. If I was to prioritize spending, that it would just be so far down the list, it's just not viable. But that was the first thing I looked at. How much for a single BCX gold foil IZIA? Yeah, but
that's what I need too. I need a
really
gold foil one BCX gold foil Izzyard, and I thought to myself, all right, if I buy one of them, if I like drop that kind of money on one of them, and then I combine it with my other Izzyards, now that one's locked until I unlock the other ones or unbound the other ones. So like, yes, I'm getting this like card that is now maxed, but it's now locked back on my account until I, unbound the other 10. Oh no,
hang
sorry.
on.
Other three, I guess. Other three for gold.
Sorry. You can buy a card and combine it with your soulbound?
Yes. But then you only so with the gold foil ones,
Yeah.
let's say you have 3 of them
Mhm.
and you buy one of them, so their 4th one is unbound. You only have to unlock 3 out of 4 of them to unbound the whole thing. Now,
I didn't
don't like to
know
lose
that you.
that.
Yeah, I thought I would have to unbind all of my Izzyars to be able to combine them.
No, you
Right,
can.
okay.
That's what I was doing when we were waiting for Matt to log on. I was doing Ava, I think her name is
Ava Sturgis? Or...
Yeah. I got just one BCX for whatever it was, the $5 or $6, and then just combined her with my other ones. And now in the next whatever it is, 27 days, I need to figure out whether I'm gonna unbound all of them or not.
It's so difficult with the cards where you've got them maxed in regular and almost maxed in gold, because then you're thinking, well, hey, look, I use this one all the time. For me, it's Coastal Sentry, and I'm thinking I could just so readily throw down the cash to just buy this, and then all the times I use it, I get that 10% bonus. I use it 4 or 5 times a day. It's going to be worth it. But then, yeah, if you don't do it, but some of the legendaries, it's like, I kind of feel like I'm being held to ransom here. Because it's not like I can down the track decide to the price isn't going down, right? Well,
right.
I guess we'll see.
Oh, see, yeah, there's Izzyar right there.
Yeah,
$7 for one BCX, and but how much does it cost to unbound that? I don't even know.
125,000 DEC for one BCX legendary gold foil.
DEC is at what, 65% or something like that?
67%. Yeah. So basically, to say 2/3.
Yeah.
So it'd be 10. It's the power, isn't it? 10x the power at the moment.
Yeah, 125,000 DEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty close if you times your DEC by 10.
Yeah, that's what I do, and then that's how I calculate the dollar value in US as well. It's just so 55,000 deck. I just think, okay, that's $55. Divide by the 1,000. Give or take with peg and so forth. But that's seems like here in Mexico, even though it fluctuates with the market, I divide, like if I look at the price of something in Mexican pesos, I just divide by 10, and that's approximately Australian dollars. Approximately, I'm a little bit ahead if I use that, but you can do that quickly in your head, right. And so I do the same thing with DEC. Yeah, just 100x, 10x, 1000x. Just if it puts you in the ballpark close enough, that's what I do in my head. Yeah.
Right. But I think so in that example, right? You and I, and I'm sure many players, have to make a decision now. Do you want to spend $107 on an Izzyar to max out this gold foil card, which is legendary, and I get it, it's awesome, it's gold foil, that you can never sell again if you don't unbound the rest of them. If you don't put in another, say, $300+ depending on when you do it. That's a decision a lot of people need to make, and it's a really hard one.
Yeah, especially at the current market.
When, you may not ever recoup that money.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's where I think the commons. That's where I'm focused on the commons, right? The commons that I use all the time. I figure, well, if I can unlock or buy gold foil commons that I use all the time, and I could do 10 of those for the cost of a single legendary, which I might use occasionally. That's for me. That's my thinking. Okay, I'm going to get the battle rewards from the commons on the cheap, and that way I can be at peace with the lost legendaries. We got you for about 4 more minutes, I think, Dahota. where would you like to go? What's your ambitions for not just, number go up, more players, but what sort of directions would you like to see the game go?
I'm on board with what Matt's vision is right now for the most part. For a majority of it. I don't mind, and I know this is a controversial thing, but I don't mind these. I wouldn't have minded these soulbound cards stayed soulbound. I probably wouldn't have. I would have preferred maybe a different way of doing it in terms of like, um, not getting extras. Obviously, like maybe once you max out a card, you get other cards, or maybe you get extra glint for other things, and we had promos or something like that. Um, I don't mind this Web 2 hybrid Web 3 thing. I think that there's a lot of people who have invested in the story of Web 3, and I get it, I did as well. But I also think that this industry is still so new that I don't think we can really define Web 3 yet, because I don't think we've seen a truly successful Web 3 game. And I think what Matt's trying to do is he's trying to find what a successful Web 3 game is, and one that can withstand multiple bear markets. And it's possible that a successful Web 3 game is more of a hybrid of Web 2 and Web 3. Or it's possible too that the masses aren't ready for a fully Web 3 game yet. So I'm on board with some of this soulbound stuff, because to me, we still get rewards, we still get SPS, we still can do that. And now I get right now SPS is so low that it doesn't feel like much of a reward. I totally get that. But that all changes when number goes up, right? Like that all changes. And you're going to get these soulbound cards, and they're going to help you get that SPS. And I know we used to get these cards and we used to be able to sell them, and it felt like more of a reward. I totally understand that. But we had an issue there. We had bots taking whatever high percent of the rewards, and it wasn't working. Our economy was broken in that way, so we had to fix it. Um, I am truly looking forward to the team getting the new player experience finished, getting that like tight, start a small amount of marketing and test their funnel, keep tweaking it till they get it to a point where they're making conversions, and then they basically put their foot on the pedal, and we start kind of like really bringing in people. And what I'm really hoping in my heart, because I'm so dedicated to this community, is that once we start getting some people in here and we start seeing the community grow, that all of the salt will just dissipate and everybody will just get on board and start just being way more helpful and positive. And I'm saying this with, I understand why there's some salt. I'm not okay with salt that comes with, like there's a line, and I'm not okay with people crossing the line. But I also understand why there's some salt. But I'm hoping that once we start turning this ship around, that people can just start being like incredibly helpful community members, and that tavern room, when people come in, can go in and just be helpful.
All right. So Dakota had to leave us during the break. As you know, we get the 2 40-minute sessions here on the free version of Zoom. He had family commitments to attend to, but likewise, it was short notice. It was great that he can come on. And we were just chatting in Discord off screen. We'll get him on again soon, and we'll do a full session. He's keen to chat with Geo, wants to do some battles with us. So we'll have him back on again real soon. Yeah. All right. So I have some land to harvest, so I guess we could start with that. I didn't get a whole lot of glint last season, so I'll probably save my glint rather than spend it this episode. Let's go to land.
Yeah, I've worked out to unlock the cards that I need. Holozor's kindly offered to unlock reward cards on his account, and I just send him the DEC. He pays to unlock and then sends me the cards. So I'm grabbing a chunk of those from him, and then Killer Dragon also wants to do a swap. So, but yeah, I've worked out to fill my gaps. It's about 210,000 DEC. Just those last few BCX that I'm missing on epics and legendaries.
Yeah.
It's just that little, if we'd have played if we had another month with these reward cards, I probably would have got on top of it. But
Yeah.
but then it's like watching the price. What do I do with all my loose spares? Like the ones above and beyond what I need. I mean, I may as well, I guess, unlock them and make that $1 each, or unlock them and wear the cost, and maybe down the track we get more players. Then I've got a really rare card that's just there's not many copies of. I don't know. It's really interesting to think of the game theory, tokenomics.
Yeah. And like I mentioned before, when I was looking at the market for combining, I was thinking I had to unbind my cards before I could combine them. So I might need to take another look at the market because it's just some epics predominantly that I need.
Yeah, there's an irony there, and you get the card for free, but it's not quite maxed. So then you pay to max it, but now you can't sell it because it's combined with cards that you can't sell. And if you don't unbind them while the clock's ticking, right, 6 months from now, you can't unbind them at any price, then that's it. That card is forever locked to your account, even though somebody's already paid to unlock one of the BCX or two of the BCX for it. So it's interesting game theory.
So I've got the Will o' the Wisp, Noah, and Injury managed to get them maxed, but yeah, the rest they're still just sitting there. So is this clock going to keep ticking like 11, 12, 13, 14, or is that going to have a plateau where it's not going to keep going up?
The cost to unlock will keep going up every month until it just stops, and then you can't unlock anymore at any price.
Oh, it will reach a point where you cannot unlock.
That's right. Then when the door's closed, and then yeah. So if you any card that you want to unlock, you're best off doing it. You get most bang for your buck now in this first month, and then obviously probably 99% of unlocking will happen then, and it'll get more and more expensive to do it, and then that'll be it. It won't escalate forever. The cost to unlock. There'll be a point where no, that's it. They can't be unlocked now at any price. So it's there's definitely triggered some FOMO because people are thinking, well, now's the cheapest it's ever going to be. Let's get on it.
If you've got the funds to do it, though, at the moment, that's the other thing.
But that's the thing, right? You burn SPS to make the DEC, and then that drives SPS scarcity. We have to see how the tokenomics shake out. DEC sort of holding that 67% sort of area. I think it's a good move overall for the game, but it does mean that especially people who arrived like 3-4 months ago, 5 months ago, they're looking at this and thinking, I've kind of got enough to maybe which of the commons do I want to max? There's a lot of tough decisions to be made over the next few weeks, I think, for a lot of people. Yeah,
so I've got these 3 here that just need 1 BCX. It's like it's a tough decision.
Yeah. How often do you use them, I guess, is the question. Because if it's a 10% bonus forever, then maybe it's worth it. But you're never going to see the BCX, the DEC back, right? Because they're going to be locked to your account. There's going to be nothing that you can do. So basically any other time you bought a card in this game, it's a card that you could sell on later, right?
Yeah.
So it's a different deal.
Yeah. Both Avis and Berrex have got the weapons training, which I do use, and weapons training with magic. They're cards I would definitely use.
And I hate to say it, but if you don't dive on this, and this is almost it's almost mean. If you don't dive on this, you get to see those 3 almost maxed gold foil cards in your collection for as long as you have this account, right?
Yeah.
There's Yeah, and you go, oh yeah, there's that card. I play with the regular foil version, which I got maxed out, but I can't play with the gold foil version because at the time I didn't dive on the opportunity to buy one of the unlocked ones. You'll still be able to buy an unlocked one, but it'll be 50 grand. It'll be listed for 50 grand because there'll be two of them.
Yeah.
From somebody who did unlock and then sold.
Yeah. So it's like $100 to get Avis. Whoops. $137 to get Berrics. And $107 to get Izziar. And that's just to buy the cards. And then I need to unbind what I've already got. It's just not doable. It's just not doable.
You don't have to unbind. You don't have to unbind what you've already got.
Well, I do if
you ever want to be able to sell.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's even to unbind what I've got. That's $300, 100 or a little bit more, just for these three. Actually, no, he was 170, wasn't he? 130. Yeah, closer to $400 US, just to get those three cards.
It looks like there's a decent markup on Berrics. I mean, if you wanted to gamble, you could unlock. You could sacrifice him, give him up, unbound the copies that you own, and then list them for slightly cheaper, but still at a decent markup. If they sell, then you get enough DEC back that you can maybe at least buy the BCX that you need for the others or one of the others, and then I don't know. Like I say, so many difficult decisions to be made. I've got to go through them all. Work out, is this one that I want to max in regular or do I want to max it in gold foil? I think, like I said to Tahota, I really feel like for me, I want gold for that 10% bonus in battle, and if I can secure gold common reward cards and get the 10% bonus for 20 of those instead of one legendary reward card, well then, like, why not? As long as I'm using them at roughly the same rate, then maxing those commons in gold foil is just going to be so much more bang for your buck, right? Yeah. That's my thinking, especially if they're going to be locked to my account, because I'm not going to unlock all the ones that I already have, right? Unbound all the ones I have. So they're going to be locked to my account forever. It's not like I'm looking to on-sell them. All I'm after the gold foil version for is that 10% bump. So why wouldn't I then do that 10 or 15 commons instead of one legendary? So that's sort of where I'm coming down on all that at the moment.
Yeah. And even though you say like there's good markup on Berrics, well, yeah, that's if it sells. just because it's there at 135 BCX doesn't mean that level 3 is going to sell.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a tough call.
And you got to look at the difference between a 1 BCX and then a couple of cards that have been combined, because they don't cost any less to unbound when they're joined together, but they can attract a whole lot less on the market. There's so many people are just looking for 1 BCX.
One single
right?
BCX,
So
yeah.
Yeah, so you combined 3 together. Now you're stuck with this. That if I pay to unbind 3, I can't also pay to uncombine them. Maybe that would have been a good idea for next time. Throw that to Yabba and say, look, if somebody unbounds a reward card, that should also separate them out from the from the combination, so that you uncombine when you unbind. That's come up before as a possibility for cards, and he's always been staunchly against it. But I think for things like this, which is like a one-off limited time, there might be legs there. I'll have to give it some thought. I'm just thinking and just saying as I'm thinking, but I feel like that would maybe solve a lot of problems for people, because the cost to unbind is based on BCX. But the market price you can expect, you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to lose out a little bit on the price when you've got a pre-combined card. I know Crypto Eater said he only ever buys combined cards. I think he's combined like a handful of cards in the whole time he's been in the game.
Yeah.
He's like, I want other people to pay that opportunity cost. I don't combine cards. I just buy cards that are already combined by somebody else at a discount. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's just frustrating that I've got so many level 3 there. And the only one I ended up maxing was Ava. So I've got a couple of single BCXs here that I could sell, but it's worth $3.60. Yeah, I'm assuming that it even sells.
Unbinding it cost you like $3.20 or something in DC there's not a great deal of markup. And I think especially the regular foil, they are fairly cheap considering. I think that's just people that just are dumping, they're just speculating. And that's, again, the tokenomics. It's almost like I would love for somebody, after all this is done and the door's closed and they're no longer unbindable, for somebody to go through and do a deep dive on exactly what went on, what percentage of cards at what rarity level were unbound to what degree and when, how many of those were sold, and really understand like what went on with this thing, because there's so many moving parts when you think about it. And the fact that you've been thinking about this and studying it and watching it and didn't know until a few minutes ago that you didn't need to unbind your cards that you hold in order to combine them with a card that is that you've bought. I mean, there's so much complexity that could change everything about the way that you do things. And it might be that you say, okay, well, I'm glad that I can, but I would never do that because I would only invest that money if I was also able to then get it back at some point in future, which means I would, I kind of in my own mind, technically I could do that, but that's not something I would ever do. Whereas for me, I'm happy to do that. I'll be spending a little bit of coin, just filling those gaps, and then combining with my soulbound cards, and just they're on my account forever. I'm at peace with that. So, yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, but why is there the limit on the window of opportunity to unbind? That took me completely by surprise. Like, why would you put that into place?
I guess just to close the door on it, to give that FOMO. I mean, technically, he could have just escalated the price indefinitely, but at some point, it just becomes absurd, and nobody's going to do it anymore.
But even like escalate the price to that point, and then it stops, and it's always going to be that maximum.
Yeah,
level.
I think the idea is that those who are watching the market and are speculating and thinking, okay, if I hang on to, if I unbind, say 100 BCX of Coastal Sentry, I want to sell them down the track. I think that the direction the game's going, the way some of these abilities, maybe Mimic is going to work, I'm kind of thinking Coastal Sentry is going to be good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speculate, and I'm going to unbind 100 of my 150 Coastal Sentries that I've got spare, and I'm going to sell them down the track after unbinding is no longer an option. I'm going to sell them down the track because I think there's going to be a bit of a frenzy for those, and I think people who wanting to max out theirs and didn't really care are going to discover an appetite for that. I think there's going to be something there. If they were perpetually unbindable, then if the price started to shoot up, you would have to know that other people who have them sitting there will say, oh, actually, I can still unbind and I can go and undercut his price, right? So this way, it's saying there will be a finite supply at some point. 6 months down the track, whatever of these cards have been unbound, that will be the supply, and that will never increase from there. Mm-hmm. There's not that opportunity for someone to say, oh, wow, the price just tripled. Hang on, I've got some of those. I'll unbind them and then undercut the listed market price. Yeah. So it's kind of an encouragement, I guess, to say, hey, if you want to speculate on this and push up the supply, now's your window. But once that closes, then people can't then come and compete with you. It's like a pull the ladder up after you. So trying to trigger that FOMO.
Yeah. I mean, we've got both of these regular foils max. So if I wanted, there's some gold foils here that I could put onto the market. But again, the value of them is not that high.
Common gold foil, I think, is not too bad to 1,250 or something, I think, to just tick one of those, one of your loose ones. One of
Single
your one
BCX.
BCX ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, single BCX. Then go to the far right there to say unbound. Far right. Yeah, and then what does it say there? I can't read. It's too
1250
small.
DEC.
1250. Yeah. So that's not too bad. Obviously, commons take more BCX to get there. To get to max. But things like Coastal Sentry are something I'm really tempted by, because if you're still only a few BCX away, that's the one that you're going to regret not maxing out later on, right down the track. Every time you select the regular foil version and you're like, oh, gee, for only $3, I could have forever had a gold foil version of this card that I use over and over again every day. So that's where I feel like that regret is going to come, is from the commons that got away from you. And yeah, that's where I'm at, I think.
Yeah.
Today.
I still don't know where I'm at on this. It's gonna.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's what you have. It's what you use. It's your appetite for risk.
but it's also, I mean, if you don't have the funds available in the first place, then it's all moot.
Becomes a moot point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, you can't just, normally you could just dump your gold foils to max your regular, or the other way around. But it's not about just dumping now. You can't just sort of throw them on the market and get a whole lot of money, and then, because you need to unbind them first, and then you're risking that you might not even cover your cost to unbind. If the market turns and gets flooded, and then people start panicking and undercutting each other, say, well, I'm only going to get 90% of what I paid to unbind it, but if I don't take that, I've lost it entirely, right? That's the mindset that could take hold.
Yeah.
But again, the way it works, this stepped up, suggests that if you're patient, you don't have to worry too much about that. Because if you unlock now, and you don't hit people don't buy for your target price, well, just sit on it, right? There's no urgency. Sit on it as the price to unbind gets higher and higher, and people who maybe took a few months off and come back, hey guys, what's going on? Wow, okay, everything's happening. I need to buy these things. Or then eventually the door closes, new people arrive and they want it. They're going to pay your price, right? Eventually, that's the idea.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, in the short term, there's nothing to stop panic sellers from just undermining each other and just constantly just trying to claw back 90% of the DEC I paid in to unbind this thing. What a terrible mistake I've made, that sort of mindset.
All my commons and all my rares in regular foil are maxed. So from my point is, I see no need in unbinding these, because these are cards that I will be playing with. So these are not something that I intend to sell ever. So there's no problem with commons and rares, but it's just once we start getting into the epics and the legendaries where I'm short. This is the dilemma for me. Do I buy the cards, pay money for cards, and I'm never going to get back, just to have it maxed? That's my dilemma.
Agreed. And it's all speculative. Like if you said you with your IZR, or if you have the spare money and I'm just going to unbind everything I have and then buy another one, and then I've got a permanently unbound max gold foil IZR that I can sell anytime, that's great. But it might be to claw back that $600 that you've spent on it, $500 that you've spent on it, that the price never gets that high and nobody ever buys it off you at that rate, right? You don't know. But there's also a chance that it goes up to $3,000 a pop and people are buying it for that. And then you think, wow, for only $500, I would have been able to have this $5,000 card that, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 card. So it's all just playing the market, which is all that we're doing anyway.
So it's going to cost me $375 to unbind the IZRs that I've got, plus $100 to buy the BCX that I need. So yeah, that's $475 US. And no guarantee that I'll ever get that back. That's quite a dilemma for me.
You think to yourself, okay, what are the odds that everybody else is having this same conversation in their own head? And maybe when unbinding's done, there's only 2 gold foil legendary IZRs on the market. and they're $6,000 each. And then some guy arrives at the game and goes, I have to have this card, and just pays for them, right? And then just totally, you've gone 10x on your investment. I feel like somebody's who doesn't understand it all is going to get burnt because they have 1 BCX of a gold foil legendary. They go and buy the 3 that they need that are unbound, combine them all together, and not understand that that's 3/4 unbound. And the day after the after the opportunity to unbind goes away, then they'll, oh, actually, I want to sell this. Huh? What? Oh, yesterday I could have unbound it for whatever the escalated price would be. But I can't now, and now all of that money's trapped on my account forever.
Yeah.
Read things carefully, I guess.
As I mentioned earlier, I didn't get a lot of glint last season. I haven't spent any of this yet, so only 165 for the season. And that would get me, what, four legendaries? Yeah. So I don't think it's worth spending my glint at this point. I'll just keep saving it up.
I'm just focusing on legendaries this time. I'm gonna focus on legendaries, not buy any other draws. Just now I've got my Quora. I don't need to buy merits. Just legendaries, just constant. Every time I get 37,000, is it 37,500? Every time I have enough glint to get a legendary draw, just buy another legendary draw, and just I want to get my legendaries, the new reward legendaries.
Yeah.
Nice and high, quick.
35k for a legendary.
35, yeah.
Yeah. So no ultimate chests.
No, because then you like, this is a new era, right? And how often are we like, oh, it's so messy. I've got enough of this. I've got not enough of that. Should I buy these? I'm like, no, this time I'm just going to totally focus on legendaries until I'm happy with what I have, like until like at least half of them are maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll start moving on, doing epics and moving on and then down to rares, so that I'm not just ending up like at the moment. I've got some rares that I've got, like 70, 60, 70 spare BCX of that. I'm just, what am I going to do with this now, right? And other rares that are, so I don't know. I really want to just go hard on the legendaries this time from the outset. Now that we have legendary draws, just hit it hard, see what happens.
Have you bought any yet?
Yeah, 10, I think, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
I haven't. I don't have. You need like 3 copies to get to level 2, so I don't have any at 3 copies yet, 3 BCX. But
yeah,
I got a couple. I got a couple of 2 BCX.
I do
because when you're playing at max, there's no point in getting like I don't want to have rares, epics, legendaries, commons all at 1 or 2 BCX each. Like they're just going to sit there at ground level. I'd rather have, and then you got to scroll past them as well. I'd rather get a small subset up to that max level where they're playable, and then start working on the next subset.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense actually. All right, so let's do it. Let's get 4 legendaries. You ready?
Rock and roll. Sending vibes. You got potions? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because you're like, well, I'm going to get legendaries, but they might be gold foil, right? So there's still that excitement of, I'm going to flip one over. Maybe it's going to turn gold.
Okay.
Immunity, always good. Yeah, I've got a couple of those.
Oh, I've got 2 of those. 2 battle mages.
Nice.
With piercing. Ranged with piercing. Yeah, that's not a bad card.
Yeah. No, and like I say, at this level, 1 BCX, you wouldn't play that, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But if you make this your focus for a couple of months, start really building that up, then you get to that point, right, where they're actually worth it, level 3, level 4. There's a few that I saw. There's one new guy who's like a ranged sniper for he's holding scissors, real freaky looking pixie elf thing, goblin. And I quite like him because he's a earth ranged sniper. He's only like 1 BCX and does I think 2 range damage at max.
Mm-hmm.
That I can really feel would be a good addition to. Yeah, because I like throwing those in Llama Cube teams. I'm thinking Llama Cube team because it's 1 BCX, so I can feed the scavenge for cheap. It's lower mana matches, and do some damage in their back row. Hopefully, take out a few of the weaker support cards instead of hitting their main front tank. So, and then feeding the scavenge and the like. So, yeah, I don't know. I really feel like he's got some legs. I can't think of the name of him offhand, but. Yeah.
And I guess even with the gibbon there, that's something I guess you could use at the moment in a scavenge. If you've got a scavenger and it's low mana, you've got a spare slot, just chuck him in for the scavenge, I guess. And it's only costing 1 mana.
Yeah, endless gibbon. When does he get scavenge stats?
I don't know if he does.
The gibbon's reach.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a hand and you've got scavenge in your deck.
Yeah, sorry.
So
yeah, this is the same sort of vibe, only 1 mana but 2 attack. Very dangerous little things. Blackmoor Jinx is what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And he's the same, 1 mana, 2 attack at max, 3 health, 3 speed. Yeah, they're very similar. I wonder if all of the and the Frigid Wolf. So they're all 1 mana legendaries. Yeah. Grifsy in death. Yep. 2 melee, sneak, legendary death. Interesting. Yeah, so it's going to be fun to see how they shake out. I think the legendaries, all of the new cards. The Mimic is getting out of hand. I don't know if you saw Royal Eagle shared in Discord an example with the new Mimic card, and she picked up like every ability on the opposing team. She's got this massive list of abilities there that over the course of the match, she just stole an ability after ability after ability. So that's a really interesting. A lot of people saying that's OP. That Mimic ability, but I think we'll have to wait and see. I think too, the thing about Mimic is I was thinking, if you see it coming and you think, oh, they're probably going to play Mimic against me, you have the option of doing, say, like an all melee Persibolus team, but you choose cards that only have abilities that you're not worried about seeing back, right? Seeing like void armor, things that if they steal from you isn't going to affect your strategy at all, right? Mm-hmm. Magic reflect, range reflect, and you're like a melee only team with sneak and opportunity and trample and reach. You're not worried if you give them your abilities that you're not scared of facing yourself. So there is kind of a bit of workaround there. But yeah, just the straight up Mimic as it looks now, there's a really good chance that it's OP. But we'll have to see what happens, see how it actually plays.
Yeah. You got anything to spend or open?
No, I've got my screen share's disabled. I do have 6 epic totem fragments I was going to combine together on the stream, but we won't be able to do that. But no, I'm just I passed 1.5 million research. I keep pushing into the grain DEC liquidity pool. I really feel like that's a good area to focus on. Most of my thinking's just been about this reward card stuff and trying to get in before that first month is up, while things are for the best. But I am contemplating. I had a lot of regular foil, common 1 BCX uncombined rewards cards that I'm kind of thinking maybe it's worth speculating. Maybe it is worth unbinding 100 of these. They're not too expensive. I think it's 200 DEC. If I unbind 100 of these and then just pick them carefully, which ones, and then just sit on them until it's all finished 6 months from now, and then see what kind of prices they're getting, right? So that's the more aggressive perspective, I suppose, rather than the defensive, like how can I make sure I'm okay? More like, okay, what can I sell to other people down the track? Yeah, so no, it's all interesting. It's all go. I think I'm a big fan of the proposal that we touched on earlier, where we buy a heap of Hive and hold it for 24 months. I really feel like it's time. It's like Hive and Splinterlands have kind of been dating, and I really feel like if we push on with that marriage and Splinterlands commits to Hive, and Hive then provides those resources that Splinterlands needs, I think this, if neither side feels taken advantage of and both understand that this could very well be existential for both parties, right? Like there is a chance that if Splinterlands was to move to a different chain, the complexity of that, the loss of player base, the loss of, losing people from the complexity, losing people for ideological reasons, I want to stay on Hive. It could be mutually assured destruction if we don't find this deal. But if we do find this deal and nobody feels taken advantage of, then it kind of locks the projects together and gives us a springboard to then move on and say, okay, this is definitely how we operate. We've defined the relationship then between the two. A lack of ambiguity, I think, really helps with growth and even marketing. People are going to be more inclined to commit to an environment where everybody understands where they stand relative to the other. People arrive and what's going on with Splinterlands? Well, we're kind of on this blockchain at the moment, but we might be moving to a different one, and we're not really sure. We're kind of bribing them, and we're asking for a bribe, and if they don't pay it, then maybe we're going to move to Solana or Ronin, and there's no. And then should I invest in Hive? Well, we've got this big game, but it might be leaving. We're not really sure. And then that is a lot of our transactions, and a lot of our bloggers are actually blogging about the game. So there is a chance that the community is going to be torn apart by the Splinterlands leaving. So for both sides, it's a hard sell to a new player, right? To a new player, to a new blogger. Whereas if we say, okay, we had a bit of a crisis and we've come together, and Hive and Splinterlands now have committed to each other, and if you're here, you can blog about the game, and if you're a blogger, you can try playing the game or buy some cards and rent them out or whatever. There's a if both projects commit and clearly understand how they relate to each other, that's a much easier sell for everyone. So I'm really keen. I'm really enthused. And some people say, back channels, secret conversations have led to this. And, I wasn't part of the conversations or the negotiating between whoever decided that this, hey, if we do this, you're going to do this. And this, I wasn't part of any of that. I mean, you hear, right? You hear things. Hey, this is going around. Do you think you would support that? Because nobody wants to waste the time or the resources or their capital on suggesting something that's not going to go anywhere. So it's not uncommon for somebody to go and tap some of the heavy hitters on the shoulder and say, where would you land if this was to pop up as a proposal? Well, I'm completely fine with that, right? Like that just makes sense. It's not nefarious. It's not people looking after their mates and secret scheming and planning. It's just you can't do everything out in public all the time and constantly have salt thrown at it by by people who are just drifting past and don't know anything about it. So I think it is best that sometimes these conversations happen in private. But yeah, I really like this proposal. I think it's great. I think it has legs. I think it'll get up. I hope it will get up. If you're watching this and you don't like it, then reach out. Let's have the debate. Talk about it in the comments. Like, what are your misgivings? If it's
come on the show
pride
and
or
talk about
ego
it.
based, yeah, come on the show. Absolutely. If it's pride or ego based, well, they shouldn't whatever, or we shouldn't whatever. Like, we talk about two projects, but it's kind of the same, right? I'm a Hive holder. I've been holding Hive longer than I've been, Steam longer than I've been with Splinterlands, and like, we are all just one group. We're talking about ourselves as if we're enemies and allies, but it's all just us, right? So if you got specific concerns and misgivings, reach out, talk. I really want this thing to get ahead. I want it to win. I want it to get up. I want the DHF to be funded. The prop to get funded, and I want us to move ahead with all the marketing, the new player experience, and get this thing done, because I really feel like we're there, right? We've done the long, hard, cold winter. Let's look forward to some green shoots, right? And that might just be because it's very springish here today in Adelaide. I can see flowers on the opposite hillside. It's great.
Still raining here in Mexico. I've never in my life have I experienced so many days of just constant rain. It's incredible. Yeah.
You sleep well through it?
Oh yeah, it doesn't keep me awake at night, but it's just always raining. And if you get you might get 2, 3, 4 hours in a day in a 24-hour block when it's not raining. It's just a whole new experience for me. Even in Southeast Asia, I've never had any experienced this much rain constantly. It's incredible. But could do with some of that in Australia, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've had a pretty dry winter. But yeah, look, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we miss you. The place hasn't felt the same without you. But it's nice to know that I've got a mate in Mexico. If I ever up stumps, I can come and crash on your couch for a couple of days and see what's going on.
Yeah. And I mean, a year from now, Super comes through. I don't know where I'll be then, but I'm definitely going to do some traveling. See a bit. Yeah, on that note, we're going to get cut off in less than a minute. So any final words, any wrap-ups?
No, it was great to see Dihota, putting a face to a name, always good. Hearing a voice. By all means, if you're worried or nervous about coming on, don't be. Just put your hand up. We want to talk to you. We want to hear what you think. We're all one big happy family. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and I'll reach out now. We'll get him back on soon to finish the rest. So thanks for joining us on 136. We'll be back next week with 137. I'm Boba Fett. Peace out.